Ever since Muslim terrorist Omar Mateen opened fire at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida, killing 49 and wounding more than 50 others, the left has been twisting itself in knots to try to condemn the true evil that this act brings up. Islamophobia. Yeah, that's how they describe it. Not, Muslim terrorism, not radicalism and radical Islam, but Islamophobia. This ideology embraced by, bigoted, racist xenophobes who, have an intolerance towards, terrorism, the murder of innocents, the execution of gays, which is quite commonplace in Muslim countries. But no, it's Islamophobia that we must combat in this. And this came to a head in Toronto last week with a special event, part of Ramadan, where members of the Muslim community came together with predominantly members of the gay community to try to break the fast, encourage the world to hold hands and unify and join together and to combat again that evil Islamophobia. The purpose of the event was to bridge a divide between the gay community and the Muslim community. Now, ever since what Mateen did, I think it's safe to say that that is an important aspect. But it's the level of dishonesty that the media will go through to actually talk about this event and talk about this that I wanted to mention today, that I wanted to really delve into here. The Toronto Star wrote a glowing article about this event. They talked about all the people coming together. They talked about how rampant Islamophobia has been. They also talked about a Muslim statement that was read at this event. Now, this Muslim statement was, according to the Toronto Star, endorsed by Islamic scholars and Muslim writers, business people and imams, including Yusuf Badat of the Islamic Foundation of Toronto, one of Canada's oldest Muslim organizations. Now, Mr. Badat was not reportedly actually at the event. In fact, the only statement I could find that at all fits the description of the Toronto Star was from the Canadian Council of Imams. I'll get to that in a moment. According to the Toronto Star, the statement was read by Jiwan Chanika, a public school principal, and Shayla Carter, CEO of the Muslim Women's Collective. Quote, as a community, we stand firmly against all forms of oppression, including homophobia and transphobia. The Star credited those two as saying, acknowledging that it came from this Muslim statement. Now, the only statement that I could find fitting that bill is from the Canada Council of Imams. And I found that statement here. It says, we, the imams who have signed below, hereby affirm and declare the following fundamental points. The statement goes on to talk about the oneness of Allah. It goes on to talk about peaceful coexistence. It says Islam does not permit the killing of innocent people. Well, some of them might have missed that memo. It also talks about regardless of their creed, ethnicity, race, or nationality. Now, this statement doesn't actually mention sexual orientation at all. Now, maybe the two speakers at this event mentioned it, but the actual credited statement says nothing of the sort. Now, Sheikh Yusuf Badat, the one who the Toronto Star inexplicably mentioned, even though he wasn't actually at the event, did actually share the Toronto Star's article on his Facebook page. And the comments were less than kind. Fahim writes, I agree that what happened in Orlando is against Islam because our religion does not promote violence or encourage killings, but at the same time, Islam and Muslims shouldn't compromise and sit here singing love songs with the gay community. Hypocrite Muslim leaders. May Allah guide our Muslim leaders to stand firm on his deen, and may Allah guide all gays to the straight path. No pun intended. Farina writes, shameful. Our leaders didn't only support it, but also promoting it with pride. Muhammad writes, very shameful. Another Muhammad writes, what's next? Let's just throw an iftar party for the nudist group. Poor minorities being ostracized for their lifestyle that is socially unacceptable. We live in Canada. Every minority deserves their right. We don't have to accept their lifestyle, but these are still dignified human beings. Another person writes, same applies to politically inclined religious figures within the Muslim community. They're mostly biased liberal, and a basic tenet of Islam is secondary to them. We observed that during sex ed curriculum campaign, and now they openly invited and break their fast with their LGBT sister, Kathleen. Most of the comments on the Imam's post were actually negative. So where is this grand Muslim consensus of embracing homosexuality that the Toronto Star and a few members of the Muslim community want us to believe? It just doesn't exist. For the Rebel.media, I'm Andrew Lawton.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.